Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Brother Minister, are you there?
Peace. Yes, sir.
Ah, there you go. What's
Sorry
up, brother?
about that. Oh, man, everything is good, big brother. How you doing?
I'm good. How am I doing? How am I handling this?
Man, it's great, brother. Handling it.
You like
fantastic.
It? I'm glad you're on because I want to make a point, and I forgot to make this in my first segment, but I'll make it with you on the phone, and you tell me what you think about it.
Sure.
When the people who are against us, are against the concept of establishing a nation state on a continent, what they say is, well, before we can go to establish anything in Africa, we got to build our economic base here in America. And you might be surprised by my answer to this. In a way, they're correct, but I don't think they're not correct in the way they think they are.
Right.
Yes, you do have to have your economic base here in America. But what I'm saying is we already got it.
Right.
You're already established in America. We have homes in America. We have jobs. We got history here in America. We're already established here. We have $1.something trillion worth of spending power here in America. So everything that they're saying we have to do, we've already done.
Right.
What we haven't done is invest in a nation state.
Exactly.
So they are right, but not the way they think they are.
Brother man, I just recently contacted a brother who was my captain for a couple of years down here in Albany, in the capital region, and he had basically he was here from another country, and he moved back to his country because he had a child back in his country, but he stayed faithfully with me like a couple of years even after our minister passed. So he had long left the movement. He left the movement about 3 years ago, and we were just reminiscing. And the first thing he said to me really, really struck me. He said, brother, when I began to think about you and your wife? I said, no, when? He said, I was playing this video game, and there was a cut scene at the end. He said, because basically this video game is one that me and him used to play together, and it had, basically the game had 3 warring factions. And at the end of it, basically the children of the elders who was fighting for so many years in what's called the Three Kingdoms period, they come together and they say, yo, what are we fighting for? And I guess one of the people, the smartest person of the children says, we are imprisoned by the vision of our elders. To me, when it comes to nation within a nation, I just think that people have been saying nation within a nation for so long, nobody really knows just what the hell they talking about. Because word is born, when you say nation within a nation, do you really understand what you're talking about? The only people who really are developing what exactly a nation is and disqualifying the whole thing of nation within a nation is us, as in BAIO. Because we are fleshing out, you know what I'm saying? Because, brother, let's be very honest. Ever since I was a young buck in the nation, we go back like 20 years. To call yourself a nation, there's not really many requirements. All you got to do is have a flag, have an organization, some damn paperwork, and you're a nation. Right. And this is why I think I'm going to have to do Imaginary Nation Part 2, because we never really thought about infrastructure. We never really thought about land. I mean, listen, it's like, I would like to add something to what my dear sister Selena was saying. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the first thing you have to have is land.
Yes.
How the hell can you be a nation if you don't have land? You know what I'm saying? So, then you get land. Okay, we got land. Got it. We bought plots. We bought farmland. We bought this, that, and the next thing. All right. but you're going to have to file paper with the white man to get your gas turned on and your lights turned on and all these other things. No. What we're going to do is we're going to live off the grid. Oh, word? You do realize that if you live off the grid, then that gives him the right to come into your property and check to make sure that what you're using to generate electricity is environmentally safe. Therefore, he could say that your stuff is, against code, shut it down, shut you down. He can make up anything. So for me, when this is a very, very important topic that, I know this is part 1, but I think you need to do a part 2 or part 3 and part 4. But from my standpoint, I always try to come from the movement standpoint, which is I just think that people are fighting against us with this nation within the nation thing, because we've been saying nation within the nation for so freaking long. We don't even know what we're talking about. And I'm going to make an admission. I am a former nation within the nation guy. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows that. I don't try to hide that. You know what I'm saying? I don't try to say I always was. Word is born. Because we just didn't know. We just didn't know. But you are not off the freaking hook. You are inexcusable when you come into the knowledge and you still stick with the whole nation within the nation thing. That's the way I feel. You know what I'm saying? Right. We will excuse you if you did not know, and all you knew since you was a child was nation within the nation. In fact, I commend you, because at least you wanted something black that was separate and independent, so you thought. But once you hear one of our shows, this one in particular, and this one specifically, once you hear this show and it has been, it has been detailed and explained with nuance what a nation is, what it has, because to me, I really think that the biggest thing that people struggle with and don't comprehend is host country outside the borders or off the shores of America, and then satellites in America. And what I'll say in closing, I guess, is this, because I don't want to take up time, we got other callers. In my industry, being electronic security, for years, the creme de la creme was IP cameras. The industry is being taken over by IP cameras, and with these IP cameras, you can see more detail, and you can stream video, and this, that, and the next thing. And IP cameras, brother, man, they was charging like $500-$600 per camera for these cameras, right? Well, guess what? China then got in the game and took over, and now IP cameras are selling at $70, $60, and sometimes even $40. Exactly. So now, what do you say? And you know what the ill thing is, Holip? The president or the CEO or the representative, of that company, which is called Hikvision or Hikvision, the CEO of that country was a white man in America. Wow. So here's a man who, you know what I'm saying, we talk about all this patriotism and how we got to make America the way it used to be and all this other stuff. Here's a man he agreed to be a representative of a Chinese country, because the headquarters is in China. It's a Chinese country that completely devalued the camera industry. I mean, listen, brother. Shockwaves is going through the electronic camera industry right now. Nobody knows what to do, because Hikvision and some of these other Chinese companies have sold these cameras for such less money that all of the white companies that are in America is losing profit. They're losing money. They don't know what to do, and they cannot compete. They can't make a camera for $100. They can't make one for $70, so they don't know what to do. So now, and this really benefits me, most of the American companies have shifted over to what's called card access or access control, because they can't make no money in cameras. You know what I'm saying? And access control is my strong point, because, I'm a locksmith and it's lock-based. So that's why, you know what I'm saying, I'm cleaning up the money. But the main point that I wanted to make here is that a Chinese company flipped the American market upside down so bad that white people in America agreed to be the representative of that company, that completely killed American profits, and nobody is saying nothing, and it's all due to the fact that the base of operations is off the shores of America. America cannot tell this company, you can't sell these cameras here, you got to put in certain parameters in these cameras. No. They're being built on their country, and they're doing exactly what they feel like doing, and they're selling it at whatever price they want to sell it at, and America can't tell them nothing. So if you take that as a template to what you want to do, what we want to do as BAIO, we can do whatever we want to do, and we can still have representatives here in America. And to me, if you follow that model, I don't see why you would try to argue with a nation of our own and nationhood. I don't see why, because you already have an example, and I'm pretty sure, man, there's brothers and sisters who could call in from their industry and tell you that somehow, some way, India is doing the same thing, or, even Africa's doing the same thing in certain ways, you know what I'm saying? But we're so stuck with that vision from our fathers that we need to raise, a tabernacle first, and then we need to have, the thing is, and I know I'm talking a little bit too much, but I got to get into this for a second. Most of the businesses that a lot of these organizations would say that they want to reestablish once they get enough members are not practical in 2015. Think about it this way. I'm going to say something that's going to annoy a lot of people in the Muslim as well as the Hebrew community. Listen, we have learned now, okay, not many of us are vegetarians, but some of us are vegetarians. But what we've learned now is a lot of the meat is poisonous and poisoned. So therefore, if your main base of, because, back in the day, one of the main engines for the Nation of Islam, I know, was the whiting fish, having, brother, you from New York, so you can't go a day without running into somebody says, yo, son, I used to serve fish steaks at the Salam. Every day you run into somebody that says that, right? So here's the thing. Now we know that the chicken is poisoned and the fish is poisoned. So you can't even really legitimately open that kind of business anymore because, yes, there's still a lot of people who eat chicken and fish, but still in all, how are you going to look your brothers and sisters in the face who is telling you that this stuff is poison and then you're going to open that kind of restaurant? You know what I'm saying? You're not really going to be able to legitimately do that and say that you're for the people when you know ultimately everybody is really trying to wean people off of meat anyway. So that's out of the window. So what good or service are you going to sell as an organization to be a nation within a nation? That's my point.
Right.
What are you going to sell? Right. Now, when it comes to papers, I know this from being a minister and having to deal, because, I was a part of an organization called the Nation of Islam of Canada, whose headquarters was in Canada. And what ended up happening is my friends up there, my ministers and my counterpart would say to me and said, brother minister, they keep raising the price on us on the paper. So now when you're trying to print a paper, you really can't get no profit off the paper because the price of paper has gone up so high, it ate the profit out. You know what I'm saying? So I did a show on this years ago called, when I was a younger man, called Inflation and the Death of Black Organizations. All of the products that black organizations would try to use in order to generate revenue, it's just not practical because inflation have made all these products completely irrelevant. So what the brother Dominic was saying was absolutely on point. If you're going to run an organization in America and even have a hope to try to compete, you're going to have to compete with and offer skills or skilled labor to the people under the name of the organization just to survive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yo, you have seen, if you pay attention, you'll see that most of the organizations, they're not in their own building no more. They're operating out of a community center because they can't survive anymore because the product that they used to send the people out in the street, it costs too much to make it. You can't get no profit off of it. So if that's not a sign that the vision of your fathers is trapping you and keeping you locked in, I don't know what is. But I just know, brother, this show is on point, and we need to continue to piggyback off of this because this, to me, seems like this is the critical argument that we need to have with these Negroes that keep taking shots at you.
No doubt. And one point I want to make before you get off the line, and you'll know what I'm talking about when I say it. For all of these Negroes they're talking about, we can do it right here. When the host country is established and we develop these satellite communities here in America, we are going to show you what it means to do it right here.
Right.
So I'll just leave it at that.
100.